All right, today we're going to dive into something that's at the absolute heart of great teaching, but it often flies under the radar. We're talking about the emotional skills that can literally transform a classroom.
So let's just start with this big question. What if we completely flipped the script on how we think about feelings in school? What if they weren't interruptions to our lesson plans, but were actually a core, powerful tool for learning itself? Because here's the reality. Emotions are always in the room. They're like this invisible current that influences everything: student engagement, teacher burnout, you name it. They are what shape the entire climate for learning.
So, to really harness this power, we need to build what are called emotional competencies. Now, that might sound a little academic, but it's really just a set of 5 core skills that help us navigate our own emotions and our students' emotions, turning all those feelings into a real force for growth.
And to help us really get our heads around this, we're going to use a fantastic metaphor: the teacher's dual compass. Just think of it as a way of understanding how these skills have to point in 2 critical directions all at once.
So the first needle on that compass points inward, right at your own emotional landscape, recognizing, understanding, and managing your own feelings. And the second one? It points outward, toward your students and their world, helping them learn to navigate theirs. Real, lasting effectiveness, well, that comes from mastering both.
So how do we actually use this compass? Well, it's through these 5 core skills. And they really build on each other, taking us from just basic awareness all the way to, skillfully putting these emotions to work. Let's break them down one by one.
Okay, so first things first, we have to start at the foundation. Before you can manage or use emotions, you've got to be able to see them clearly. This first step is all about awareness. You're basically just gathering the emotional data.
Skill number 1 is to identify. So pointing that compass inward, it's about checking in with yourself. Okay, what am I actually feeling right now? Is that a little spark of pride seeing a student's breakthrough, or is that a wave of frustration building up? Then, pointing outward, it's about helping students build their own emotional vocabulary, guiding them from just a vague "I'm mad" to something more specific like "I feel really disappointed."
Once you can name the feeling, the next step is to understand it. So inwardly, this means connecting the dots. Why am I feeling this frustration? Oh, and how is it changing my tone of voice right now? Outwardly, it's about helping students do the same thing. Hey, why do you think you felt so anxious before that test? And what did that feeling make you want to do?
All right, so once we have that awareness, once we've gathered that emotional data, we can finally move from just insight into real action. This is where we learn to actively manage and channel our emotions in a constructive, purposeful way.
Skill 3 is all about expression. For teachers, this means showing our feelings, even the tough ones, in a professional way. It's not about hiding your enthusiasm or your concern, but sharing it respectfully. And for our students, it's about teaching them to use their words, right? To have a conversation instead of just acting on that first impulse.
And then we get to a huge one: regulation. Inwardly, this is all about managing our own stress so we can stay effective, especially when things get chaotic. And then, outwardly, it's about giving our students the actual tools they need to cope with those overwhelming feelings, like frustration or anxiety, that can totally derail their learning.
And listen, this isn't some abstract idea. These strategies are incredibly practical. We're talking about taking that deliberate pause before reacting to a disruption, or reframing a challenging student as one who just needs more support. It's about taking a different perspective, or just giving yourself time to reflect on a tough day so you can learn from it.
And all of that brings us to our final, and maybe the most powerful step of all. This is where we move beyond just managing emotions and start actively using them as a resource. We're talking about using emotions as fuel for our teaching and for our students' learning.
This is skill number 5, to use our emotions. Pointing inward, your passion can energize an entire lesson, right? And that little flicker of frustration can be a super valuable signal that maybe you need a new approach. Then, pointing outward, we can help students channel their natural curiosity into deep, meaningful questions, or help them leverage their own determination to push through a really tough problem.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? When we actually, intentionally work on these skills, our emotional life stops being something we have to fight against. Instead, it becomes one of our greatest assets. It's a total shift in perspective.
So we've walked through the 5 skills, we've seen the 2 directions of the compass. The key question now is, how do we make this a real, living part of our own practice every day?
At the end of the day, the biggest takeaway is that neither side of this compass works well without the other. Our ability to manage our own stuff directly impacts our ability to support our students with theirs. It's the whole package, and it shapes every single aspect of the classroom experience, from test scores to that feeling of safety and belonging.
So we'll leave you with a final thought. As you think about your own practice, which direction on your compass needs your attention first? Is it that inward focus on your own self-management, or is it the outward focus on student support? The journey starts with just that one single step.